Listen, please just listen to me. I have to tell you something. It's important. This can't be happening. You need to know the truth.
17-year-old Myra found the mirror while clearing out her grandmother's attic, 3 days after the funeral. It was an ornate thing, silver framed with strange symbols etched along the edges. Symbols that looked almost like writing, but in no alphabet she recognized. The black cloth wrapped around it was silk, old and carefully tied. Tucked into the folds was a note in her grandmother's shaky handwriting. Never look into this at Twilight. Never alone. It was signed Gran. Myra held the note in her trembling fingers. Her mother had already left for her evening shift at the hospital. The autumn sun was bleeding orange through the attic window, casting long shadows across the dusty floor. She knew what time it was. She knew what the note said. But grief does strange things to people, and Myra desperately wanted to feel close to her grandmother again. She unwrapped the mirror slowly, the silk sliding away like water. The silver frame was cold in her hands, heavier than it looked. Those strange symbols seemed to shift in the fading light, almost as if they were moving, rearranging themselves into new patterns. Myra lifted the mirror and looked into it. At first, she saw only herself. Dark curls, tired eyes, her grandmother's old cardigan that she'd been wearing for comfort these past few days. But then, something changed. The reflection began to shift like smoke behind glass. The girl in the mirror was still her, but younger. No, not her. It was her grandmother, decades ago, caught in that strange, suspended moment between girl and woman. She had the same dark curls, the same deep-set eyes, but her face was unlined, hopeful, alive. Young Gran's eyes went wide with recognition. Her mouth moved urgently, hands pressed against the glass from the other side. She was pointing behind Myra, gesturing frantically, her face twisted in terror. Myra could read her lips. Run, or maybe it was turn. The girl in the mirror was weeping now, shaking her head, pounding on the glass with her small fists. A chill ran down Myra's spine. Slowly, she turned around. The attic was empty. Dusty boxes, old furniture, the dying light painting everything in shades of amber and gold. Nothing moved. Nothing breathed except her. When she turned back to the mirror, young Gran was still there. But now tears streamed down her face. She pressed her palms flat against the glass and mouthed something else, slowly this time, making sure Myra could understand. It followed me out. From somewhere in the house below, Myra heard a footstep. Heavy, deliberate, not her mother's step. Her mother wouldn't be home for hours. Myra's heart hammered in her chest. She looked down at the mirror in her hands. Young Gran was shaking her head, mouthing the word no over and over again. Don't go down there. Don't look. Don't acknowledge it. But Myra had to know. She crept to the attic stairs, the old floorboards groaning under her feet. The house below was dark. She hadn't turned on any lights before coming up here. Through the stairwell, she could see the hallway stretching out, empty and still. Another footstep, closer now, coming from the living room. Myra descended slowly, one step at a time, still clutching the mirror. She didn't know why she brought it with her. It just felt important, necessary, like a weapon or a shield. When she reached the bottom of the stairs, she paused. The living room was just around the corner. She could hear something now, a soft sound like breathing, but wrong somehow. Too wet, too deep. She peered around the corner. A figure stood in the center of the living room,
Hello,
facing
sweet
away
girl.
from her. It wore her grandmother's favorite dress, the blue one with white flowers. It had her grandmother's silver hair, pulled back in the same bun she always wore. Relief flooded through Myra. She almost laughed. It was just Gran. Somehow, impossibly, wonderfully, it was just Gran. She stepped into the room. Gran, she whispered. The figure turned. It had her grandmother's face, but wrong. The features were too smooth, too perfect, like a painting of her grandmother rather than the real thing. The eyes were the worst. They were completely black, reflecting nothing, absorbing all light. The thing that wore her grandmother's face smiled. "Hello, sweet girl," it said in Gran's voice. But the voice echoed strangely, as if multiple people were speaking at once, all slightly out of sync. Myra stumbled backward, raising the mirror instinctively. The thing flinched, actually recoiled, as if the mirror heard it somehow. In the mirror's reflection, she could see the truth. The thing in the living room wasn't her grandmother at all. It was something else, something dark and writhing, barely contained within the shape it had stolen. And behind it in the mirror, young Gran stood in what looked like the same living room, but decades ago, pointing urgently at the symbols on the mirror's frame. Mira looked at the symbols. They were glowing now, faint but visible, and suddenly she could read them, not with her eyes but with something deeper, some knowledge that had been sleeping in her blood. A binding spell, instructions for trapping something that should never have been released. The thing stepped closer. "Give me the mirror, child," it said in that horrible chorus of voices. "Your grandmother kept it from me for so long, but now she's gone, and you're here, all alone, at Twilight." Mira's hands shook, but she held the mirror steady. She began to speak the words that appeared in her mind, words in a language she'd never learned but somehow knew. Ancient words, words that tasted like smoke and salt on her tongue. The thing shrieked. It lunged for her, grandmother's face twisting into something monstrous, mouth opening too wide, revealing rows of teeth that had never belonged to any human. Mira kept speaking. The symbols on the mirror burned brighter. She could feel the pull now, the mirror becoming a doorway, a prison, a trap. In the reflection, young Gran was speaking too, the same words, their voices joining across the decades. This was what Gran had done all those years ago. She'd trapped this thing, but she'd made a mistake. She'd looked at Twilight. She'd been alone. And in that moment of weakness, when she'd finished the binding, the thing had managed to cling to her, to follow her out, to haunt her family for the rest of her life. But Mira wasn't alone. Young Gran was with her, speaking the words, lending her strength across time itself. The thing screamed as it was pulled toward the mirror, its stolen form unraveling, revealing the writhing darkness beneath. It clawed at the floor, at the furniture, but nothing could stop the pull. With a final shriek that shattered every window in the house, the thing was sucked into the mirror. The glass flashed brilliant white, then went dark. Mira looked at the reflection. Young Gran smiled at her, tired but triumphant. She placed her hand on the glass. Mira pressed her own hand against it, feeling warmth despite the cold silver. "Thank you," young Gran mouthed. She looked peaceful now. The terror was gone from her eyes. Then she faded, and Mira saw only her own reflection again. The mirror felt lighter now, emptied of its terrible burden. Mira wrapped it carefully in the black silk cloth, tying it tight. She knew what she had to do. Back in the attic, she found an old iron box, the kind her grandmother had used for keeping precious things safe. She placed the mirror inside and locked it. Then she wrote a note, her hand steadier than she expected. "This mirror is bound. The thing inside is trapped. Never unwrap it. Never look into it at Twilight. Never alone. But if you must, remember that you are not the first. You are not the last. And we are always with you across time, across the years. We are family, and family protects family." She signed it Mira. Then she placed the box in the furthest corner of the attic, behind old furniture and forgotten boxes. Someday, maybe, another girl in her family would find it, would read the warning, would make her own choice. But the thing in the mirror would never be free again. Mira had made sure of that. As she descended the attic stairs for the last time that night, she thought she heard a whisper, warm and familiar. Her grandmother's real voice, not the stolen echo the thing had used. "Well done, my brave girl, well done." Mira smiled. The house felt lighter somehow, clean, safe. She went to the kitchen and made herself tea,
Well done, my
the way
brave
Gran
girl.
had taught her. And she waited for her mother to come home, ready to tell her, or perhaps not tell her, about the mirror in the attic and the thing that would trouble their family no more. Outside, twilight faded into night. The stars came out, one by one. And in the attic, wrapped in black silk and locked in iron, the mirror sat silent and still, its terrible secret bound forever in silver and shadow.